All right, welcome everybody to episode 23 of the Content Lab podcast. My name is Carlos Bao, and I'm joined by my co-host Eric Castaños, and today we have a special guest. Her name is Meg Ellery. She's the owner of Ellery Photos. She specializes in underwater and fitness photography. She's shot the CrossFit Games 4 times and has currently she travels the world shooting sea life and athletes underwater, which is pretty cool. We'll talk more about that. And as far as her experience in the field of professional photographer, she has over 8 years. So somebody that brings a lot of experience as well. Megan, thank you so much for being on the pod.
Thanks for having me.
I was talking to Eric right before I said, yeah, she's gonna be episode 23, and he's like, oh yeah, the Jordan episode.
Dude.
23. You get it? The number 23, Jordan?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. So Megan, tell us about you. I know we were talking right before the episode. I was like, let's not ask too many questions so we can get to know you better because I honestly don't know you much. I met you briefly at Waterpalooza. You were talking to Jeannie and I said hello to her, and then at the games for a little bit. I think at one of the semifinals, but I don't know much about you, and I think Eric doesn't know you too much either.
No, we were talking before, and he's like, "Do you know much about Meg?" I was like, "Dude, literally nothing. Other than we know that she's like one of the smallest ones on the floor, and she's the one with the biggest lens."
That's funny. Yeah, I'm always like backed up like this.
Dude, that stance. It's legendary.
I
Yeah.
know. I need a monopod. I definitely
No,
need
you don't. Yeah, you don't know.
No.
No, you're totally good. You wouldn't be the same without the stance.
It's a flex,
It
just to like,
is.
carry the lens.
You
but
just
I'm
can't
getting
do that
older.
underwater.
I'm getting older. My back is gonna break.
Yeah. Mega, tell us about you. Tell us about your life growing up. And if you want to expand a little more, just get to the part that you find either photography or anything creative that you decided, okay, this is probably what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Okay. Well, I actually went to school for animal science. So
Oh.
I was studying to be a vet. And I remember just being like, this is exactly what I want to do. Like, I know for sure. I remember even having a conversation with my dad, and he was like, well, what if like you don't want to do it? Like, maybe you want to have like a backup plan. And I was like, no, I know this is what I want to do. And so that's what I went to school for. And then I did an internship, and I was like, this isn't for me. This is not for me. So I went to my advisor, and they were like, well, you're already like in your junior year of college. So you might as well just graduate with a degree in animal science and, figure it out from there. And so um, I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? So after I graduated, I started working for my dad's company doing like marketing, photography, just like I wore a bunch of hats. Um, but working for him allowed me to accept like jobs on the weekends with photography and just have a little bit more flexibility with my schedule. Um, I found that like any jobs that I applied for in like the animal science field, it was like have to work nights and weekends and all of that stuff. So it just like didn't really work out with photography for me. But I actually started photography, I think it was junior year in college. My parents bought me a camera for Christmas one year, and it like sat on the shelf collecting dust. I was like, I'm not going to use this. Like, what am I going to use this for? And then junior year of college, I started CrossFit, and I was like, maybe I should take my camera to the gym with me. Like, that would be fun. And then it just kind of like went from there.
That's so cool. I love when people, which is like 90% of the people I have here, they say that they started shooting photography because they were doing CrossFit and they were kind of like, into photography. And they're like, okay, I'm going to bring my camera to the gym, which
Yeah.
is, it's mind blowing because that's the way I started too. And I feel like most people I have on the pod, that's how they started. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. And like it just honestly like it starts off so small. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna bring my camera to the gym.
Yeah, and just take some photos of my friends and my coach, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then things kind of like start picking up from there. What do you remember when was the time that you were probably, I mean, maybe at the gym taking photos of some athletes and you were like, I think I'm pretty good at this. I think I can start shooting some competitions and maybe get somewhere. Do you have like a moment that you saw that happening?
I think I do. Like well, I remember specifically like I went to CrossFit 401 for a while I was at URI. And it was just like a tiny gym. But I used to like climb all over like the bars and everything and like just get these like crazy angles. And I remember one of my friends, Allie, was doing toes to bar. And so I like climbed up on the rig and I took a picture of her. And then at that time, CrossFit was like accepting photographs. Like you could submit your photographs for a potential like feature on their Instagram, and they like posted that picture on their Instagram after I submitted it, and I was like, oh my god, that is so cool. And then I think like I have it somewhere. I can send it to you guys. But yeah,
Do you post it on your Instagram at any point?
yeah, it's probably like at the very beginning of my
personal
no, Ellery Photos. It
All
might
right,
be on
I'm
my
on the hunt.
personal too.
Eric,
I'm on the hunt.
ask her something. Well, no, I'm looking right now.
No, you're looking
for it. Yeah.
Okay, no, continue what you were saying.
What's the photo like? Just so I have like.
It's like a toes to bar.
Yeah, it's like I was literally standing on the rig, like looking down at my friend Allie doing toes to bar. And actually, I'm pretty sure the owner of the gym, like he had put a piece of plywood up there for me to stand on because he knew that I got up there all the time. So he was like, "Oh, Meg, do you see that like board that I put up there for you?"
He made you a little platform.
Are we ready for this?
Yeah, that's it. That's
it.
That's the one.
Did you have flash on?
Yeah. I don't know.
Tough.
I think she might have just been over a light, but I also did shoot with flash every once in a while, so
yeah,
I'm not sure.
that's so sick.
And this you start in your photography career.
Yeah, I think that was like the picture or like the moment that I was like, yes. Oh, that was another one too.
Yeah.
Sean Kelly, he's actually in Florida as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he was at 401. He was a great subject.
You have such a different perspective, and not only because of shooting underwater, but just the way that you compose stuff. What was like a big, well, not even just one, but what were like some of your early inspirations, like coming on from like, because there's this gap between like when you got your camera and then when you started shooting. Like, what was some of the inspirations for the way you shot and style wise, and also what was the brand of the first camera that you got? This is what everybody wants to know.
It was.
I think I know the answer.
What? Tell me.
I'm just joking. Ginny's listening, so I can say too many bad things about Nikon.
Yeah, Ginny, dude.
It was a Canon T4i.
Oh, nice.
Let's
okay,
go,
good,
dude.
Yeah. I'm sure it was just like the kit lens that like came. I'm not sure what lens it was, but yeah,
Ginny has spoken.
I knew it. Shout out to Jeannie and Charlotte. They're both listening.
That's awesome.
Hi, Charlotte. Yeah, so it was definitely like, just one of those like starter models, but I mean, I also have a different perspective because I'm shorter than everybody. So I'm always like down, like looking up.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not really too sure. Like, I guess like the way that I compose things is just how like I feel looks good. Like I can't really say like what inspires me to like compose something the way that I do. But
yeah, was it like, did you ever, so it's all instinctual, like you didn't look at like there wasn't movies that inspired you, other photographers like legends in the space or anything? It was like more of an instinctual thing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
For sure. Yeah. I took a photography class in high school, like film photography.
Yeah.
And I like never thought anything of it. I loved it. Like I had so much fun with it. But I never thought anything of it at all. But no, yeah, it's instinctual. Like I just kind of like look through the lens and just take the shot. Sometimes I like crop after and like I'll be like, what was I thinking? Like, and I'll just kind of like, edit it accordingly. But yeah. Yeah, it's always
That's
a challenge though.
Yeah, but that's one of the things I've realized about really creative people and like the people I really like the composition. I feel like most of them it's just what their eye see and like what they feel it's right? Like we all know some rules of composition, but at the end of the day, like everybody's like a different artist, right? And you can create your art however you want to. Like the stuff that you do, Eric, is like completely different that anybody else does, and same with you, Meg. It's just kind of like it's the way you present your art, and you know it's okay like to follow composition rules and all this stuff, but I mean everybody has their own style. Talking about the underwater photography, I wanted to like this one of the first photos that I saw that you took, or that when I was checking your Instagram, I'm like, that's crazy, like that's so good.
Oh my
you know
God. I
it
love
almost it almost looks like fake because it's so perfect. It almost looks like a movie type of like, I don't know. It's so good. So you mentioned at the beginning of the pod that you were interested in like animals and stuff like that. Is that like the main reason why you started underwater photography, because you wanted to combine probably like both worlds that you feel like passionate about?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one of the reasons. But I think honestly what happened was like I was shooting CrossFit for a while, and I mean like it was the only thing that I was shooting. And so every time I picked up my camera and like went to the gym, it was like I was always taking pictures of a snatch or like a clean and jerk. And there's only like so many angles you can get of that. And then finally I was just like, I kind of just like maybe I got burnt out, but it was like I just felt like I wasn't impressed by any of the things that I was creating. And I was getting frustrated. I was like everything that I'm bringing home at the end of the day, I'm like looking at, and it's just not anything like exciting to me. And so I decided that I wanted to try something different. And that just happened to be underwater photography. Because also, like, I didn't know very many people who did it. And like, I still actually don't. Like, I still don't know that many people
Yeah,
who
me neither.
do underwater. So, and I know that we've all probably had these like moments, but like I went, to B&H or Adorama or whatever, and I'm looking at these underwater housings, and obviously they're super expensive, but like you click add to cart anyway, and then like you're just like looking at your cart and you're like, oof, like this is gonna be like a rough one. But then, like you just like click like confirm purchase and that's it. And then like I mean sometimes like I've hovered over that button for a while. and, and I'm like I shouldn't do it, like I should save money, but I mean I've never regretted like a single purchase. Like the underwater housing was obviously like it was expensive, but it's totally worth it.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
look at the photos that you take.
I know
It's
I had to take your Instagram down from the other side because I was just scrolling through. I was like, Jesus,
yeah, it's really
it's so
cool.
cool.
Uh,
Thanks.
what are some of the biggest challenges in shooting underwater? Because
Um,
I've never done it, but I can only expect that it's completely different. I don't know exactly how it works, but you can expand a little more.
yeah, so there's different challenges like wherever you are. Like at Wadapalooza, when I shoot underwater, I'm not really shooting underwater, honestly. Like as I was talking, you kind of click through some of those like photos of the athletes like getting out of the water. Those I found are like the best photos I can get at Wadapalooza, just because like the water's pretty murky. Like there is like one like half under, half over shot of like an athlete swimming by me on my Instagram from Wadapalooza, but like you can tell, like you cannot see like, yeah, that one. Like it's just not like crystal clear.
That's
So
amazing.
like
It's
yeah,
so good.
thanks.
I'm trying to find one that I remember that you took. I think it was Chandler Smith. That the sun is kind of like you can see like a sun flare. It's so cool. I can't find it.
Getting out.
Yeah, he's on the way out. Like getting into the. Oh, this one is cool too.
Dude,
Wow.
her whole Instagram is cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I love this kind of stuff. It makes me want to archive all my photos on Instagram and kind of like not start
Just
from
start all
zero.
over.
But that's something I've been like not trying to do, but like thinking about doing. And I actually archive a bunch of my photos. I don't want it to be like a CrossFit only
Yeah.
page.
Yeah.
And with the new app that some people are using, the Vero app, I like it because I feel like so good about posting all kinds of different stuff. And that's what you do, Meg, and you too, Eric. Like you guys just post like whatever it's like, whatever you like, and that's something I've been working on, and not just posting CrossFit.
Yeah, it's kind of like whatever excites me, you know?
Yeah,
And
which is what it's supposed to be, because it's your
yeah,
Instagram page, right? Like it's what you're showing the world to,
yeah,
like this what I do. But I don't know. Anyways, I'm working on it. Let me see.
yeah.
Somebody is asking. Oh, Frank says currently hover over that confirmed. First spot on myself. Luckily, I got a notification this podcast started. Yeah, yeah. Frank
Yeah.
is bad. Frank is bad influence for me because every time he's like, "Oh, look at this," and then he has a YouTube channel that he shows you like how cool
Gear.
some of the products are, and then I want to buy them.
It's so dangerous.
I know.
You gotta look at Meg. What are some of those things now that you do that keep you inspired? Because you do have like a plethora of different things that you shoot now. You were talking about the whole, burning out on stuff, and I'm sure that was early on, and like I'm sure like most of us, you still deal with it. But what are some of those things now that you do to keep you inspired? Like, is it shooting something different, like the underwater stuff? Like whenever you feel burnt out on CrossFit, like what are some of those things to keep yourself interested and excited about shooting CrossFit? Because the example you shared earlier is perfect. Because yeah, there's only so many ways you can shoot CrossFit. Because after a certain time, like you feel like you've shot every angle of it.
Yeah.
What are some of those things that you do to keep yourself like hyped on it?
I mean, I switch it up all the time. Like I photograph everything. I bring my camera with me everywhere I go. I moved to California February of 2021, and there's a lot to do here, you know, like I found a car show on Sundays, and like I don't know much about cars. Like I definitely wouldn't be able to have a conversation about like the transmission of a car or just like anything like that. Like but I like appreciate classic cars, and I appreciate like, you know, it's fun like going to a car show and just walking around and like seeing all the different cars and everything. So I found a car show and I go to that, and then I also just like bring my camera out with me when I go to Santa Monica or Venice, and there's just always something like a street artist or something like that. You can take a picture of them. And like when I went to Santa Monica, it was like pretty recently after I moved, I went to the pier and I just like walked around and just took pictures of things that were like exciting or fun. And actually I have another picture on my Instagram of a guy who's feeding the birds on the beach in Santa Monica, and
Currently looking for it.
and you know, like those. That's one of my favorite images, just because like I had just moved to California, and like there were just like there are a lot of like emotions behind that photo as well. But
yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah, like
Jesus.
it's so cool. Like,
so good.
he just like came out with like these bags of food and he was just feeding the pigeons. And I definitely got a little too close because like at one point I thought I was going to like get hit by all of those birds.
Yeah.
Because I had like a wide angle on, so that's how close I was. But oh yeah, and that was
Yeah.
the same day. But yeah, that also I believe that was also the same day. But yeah,
They all look good, really good.
you have to like go out and like find different things. Like you can't just say like I'm always going to shoot CrossFit. Like I shoot CrossFit, that's what I do. Like no, like I mean if you're a photographer, if you enjoy it, then like you want to shoot everything. You want to shoot like whatever like you see, really. I mean, there are some times when I don't have my camera with me and I'm like, oh, I wish I had my camera with me.
Yeah.
You know, so like I just feel like you should always just be taking the opportunity to like create something. And I think as like a photographer, or a creator at all, like it's really important to like be excited about what you're shooting. And if you're not excited about it, then it's kind of like a job instead of like creating art. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So like I just have to like keep myself entertained, and the way I do that is just like by shooting all the time. Like I have a camera that I carry with me. It's like my carry camera. And like I know a bunch of other people who have like their carry cameras, and it's just a smaller camera. Like I'm not going to carry my 1DX Mark II with me everywhere I go. It's a huge brick.
Yeah.
So like, I have like a Sony, and I carry that with me.
Team Sony. Like Eric, he has a camera attached to his body. I swear, everywhere he goes, one camera with him.
Yeah, it's a smaller one too. It's just whatever.
I almost bought a Leica last night. But
is it in your cart right now?
Where you have
it is. It's literally it's one click away from being here. Yeah.
Yeah, we just got to do it.
And the main reason why it's because of that. I just want to have something, because I have a film camera that I take it, everywhere. But I want like something that I can like. Obviously, it's a completely different experience, right? Shooting film and shooting with a digital camera. But I wanted some like a Leica that it just gives you that like it's just different, right? Like the image that it produces is different. It's more like for travel stuff. Sarah's asking, what's your travel or EDC camera?
EDC camera.
It's a Sony A7R III. And I have a 24 G Master Prime attached to it.
Stage 24.
I don't change that lens. Like I just carry that around with me. I think that it just works out well for everything.
Yep. How about you, Eric? What do you carry around?
35.
I love a 35. I have a 35, but I haven't used it in a while.
Yeah, it's not. It was just like 50 was cool because it's like, but it was just a little bit too pushed in. I need something a little bit wider. So 35 was pretty cool because it forces you to like, if you're interested in something, you have to physically walk up to it.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, and 24 is like the mega example of that. But like if you're generally interested in something, especially on the street, you're forced to walk up closer. And then like if you need to get closer to somebody or like it's cool because it forces you to have like a conversation too. And on the streets, it's funny because like and then like because when you start shooting on the street, when earlier on, so I had a T3i when I first started, and they're tiny, as you know, and nobody cares that you have one, which is nice. And then I remember I got a 5D Mark IV, and everybody like had a comment on it, and it made like shooting on the streets like not uncomfortable, but like you like to sit back a little bit more and not like bring attention to yourself. But when you have like something expensive on you, people want to comment on it. It's like, oh man, well, I wanted to sit back a little bit, and now everybody's looking at you.
Yeah. Yes.
Like,
exactly.
nice camera.
Yeah. That's so. If you get a Leica, just
I was gonna say.
People get a comment on it. When you moved to California,
you can. I was gonna ask her about weddings, but.
Oh, okay. No, side thing. When you moved to California, did you meet like any celebrities? Because we've heard that you're friends with famous people.
Like Jerry Seinfeld. That's what I heard.
Jerry Seinfeld story. This is one of my favorites. It was awesome. It's really cool because, like I said, I go to that car show. So I actually had my parents visiting from Rhode Island. And I was like, oh, you guys should come to this car show. Like, Jay Leno usually goes like every Sunday. And so we had these like plans to go to the car show in the morning. And then my dad actually wanted to go paragliding in Malibu. So we had plans to do that and go for lunch. So we had like this full day planned. And so we started off the morning at the car show, and we were just kind of like looking at the cars, and we see like Jerry like roll up in one of his many cars. And I took a picture of him as he was passing by. And later on, I looked at it and I was like, oh, this is kind of like a cool shot, but it needed like a lot of work because I wanted to like get rid of all of the people in the photo. And so I spent a lot of time on that picture, and I posted it, and Spike, his like the screenwriter for Seinfeld, saw it, and he commented on it. He must have sent it to Jerry, because like right after, Jerry like followed me and then DM'd me, and he was like, oh my God, like I love that photo. Thank you so much for taking it. And then a couple weeks later, I was at the car show again, and Spike and I started talking, and he was like, all right, well, I got to go have lunch. So he went inside, and then he came out like a few minutes later, and he was like, hey, can I borrow you for a second? And I was like, sure. So I went inside with him, and Jerry was inside, and he was like, I just had to meet you. I absolutely love that photo you took. Like, you have such talent. Like, and I was just like sitting there like, oh my God. So
awesome.
yeah, that's my Jerry. That's my Jerry story.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I was gonna ask you about weddings. Is that something that you do often, or more like every once in a while?
Yeah, I don't shoot weddings that often. But that was an elopement, and my friend actually he's a photographer, and he was like, hey, I have this couple that I told them I would shoot their elopement, but I can't anymore. So would you be able to do it, since you're, like only a couple hours away from Yosemite? And I was like, yeah, of course. Like, that sounds great. So we just set up like a few Zoom meetings and kind of discussed which locations we wanted to shoot at. And yeah, Yosemite was amazing. That whole shoot was just incredible. It's really like breathtaking, that place.
It really is. It's just different, like just the background, everything.
Have either of you guys been there?
I've not, but I've seen some of the most epic photos, wedding photos over there.
I mean, just going.
I've seen some bad ones too. So it's not like the how you say it, like the place is always gonna make it beautiful. Like this, I love this one. It just like the trees, everything looks really good. We have a question here from, let me see. Okay, Jeannie. So she says, you're doing a lot of editing work for fine art photography. Tell us a little bit more about the shift that has to occur when going from digital delivery to fine art print.
Hell yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it's definitely different working for a fine art photographer, because all of that work is going to be enlarged and printed, and it's going to be hanging on someone's wall. So yeah, you kind of have to make sure that every pixel is perfect. It's definitely challenging. But in Photoshop, like, I think before I started this job, I was like, I can do anything in Photoshop, like I'm like, very well versed in that technology. Like I can do anything. And then I started this job, and I was like, oof, like, okay, like, I definitely have some work that I need to do, and some techniques that need to be learned. So yeah, I think while editing like fine art photography, you really have to, be zoomed in very close and make sure that any clone stamps, like any marks that you put on there, they look natural, and there's a lot of different techniques that you can learn to make something look natural. And it's not easy. Like, it's definitely not easy. I've watched a lot of tutorials on editing in Photoshop, and I would just say that you have to be really careful.
Yeah. Prior to the podcast, this is one of these conversations that we had, and we wanted to save it. But how did you because like everybody has a different, like some people have full-time jobs, other people like CrossFit is their full-time thing. You had mentioned that we actually had to leave at a certain time because you had to go to your full-time job, which is this fine art photography gig. How did you start there?
Okay, so yeah, I like I said, I moved to California last I feel like it was almost 2 years ago. But when I moved here, I was just doing work for CrossFit. Like, I was shooting their events, like the open announcements, and then I was shooting semifinals, and just a lot of work for them. But as you guys know, I mean, like, freelance stuff is not, like, it's mostly on the weekends, and you're you're not busy all the time. And I got to a point where I was, I had gigs here and there, but then there was like a lot of space in between, and I needed to fill it because like I can't like just sit around. I'll go crazy. And it was great though, because I mean, when I first moved here, like there was like, I mean, honestly, like there was like a little moment of panic. It was like the first night that I got here, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, what did I do? Like, I just moved across the country, and like, I don't even have a full-time job. Like, what do I do when I wake up tomorrow morning? Like, I have nowhere to go. So I had some projects for CrossFit that I was doing. And then I would go out and I would like explore all the different areas like near me, and just see like which place I really liked, and like which areas I could see myself living in. And then after a while, like I started like getting bored of that maybe. And I was like, okay, like I need to find a full-time job, like something to keep me busy, like, because I honestly, like, I love CrossFit events. I truly, like, I do, but like, there's too much in between for me. Like, I just needed something. So I would just apply for jobs here and there. And I found a job on LinkedIn, and it was a position as like an editor / assistant for a fine art photographer. And it was like, he travels the world, and just like is based right out of West Hollywood. So it was like a pretty perfect situation. So I applied for it, and then I heard back from them and had like 4 interviews, and here I am. Yeah, so now I have like a Monday to Friday gig, which is awesome for me, just because I can still do photography on the weekends. I can still, shoot all of those events for CrossFit. So yeah, I feel like it's a pretty perfect situation.
Nice. And we're talking about CrossFit, so this question kind of works well too. Adam asks, what was your favorite part about shooting the games this year? Was there anything you learned this time around? And as I mentioned, the first time you've shot this is the 4th time, right, that you shoot the CrossFit Games?
Right.
So yeah, if you can tell us about if there's anything you learned this time that, you didn't in the past, and your favorite part about the games.
Okay. Well, this year, okay, so whenever I shoot cross events like semifinals in the games, I always rent the Sigma 120 to 300. And I love that lens. It's a great lens. But then this year, I was like, I'm going to rent the 200 to 400 and the Canon. And that like extra range was awesome. Like, it was just, I don't know. I love being able to like get close up to the athletes. And obviously, like, we can't always do that. Like, you know, when you're shooting at like your local gym, you can get right up close to them, and at the games, you know, you're pretty far away. You can't be on top of the athletes like you're used to. So I rented a 200 to 400, and I loved shooting with that. So that was definitely one of my favorite parts of the games, was just shooting with that new lens. And I think, like, you know, you take something away every year from the games. And I think this year my takeaway was like to just like relax. And one of the things that Kieran said to me, I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you guys know Kieran, right?
Yeah. When you said that about relax, I was actually gonna mention Kieran because he told me something that I'm like, okay, it makes sense, but go ahead and then I'll say maybe it's the same thing.
Yeah. So I mean, he's great. He's like one of those people that like you walk up to and you just like stand next to him, and you're like automatically you're just like, oh, I feel calmer, like just being in your presence.
Very
Because
true.
he's just like so calm. But yeah, he said, let the shots come to you.
Okay, yeah, that's exactly what he told me.
Yeah. And like, and it made sense. It's like, okay, like I run around like crazy all the time, like, you know, trying to get the best shots, trying to get all the best angles, but like it's crowded and it's not fun to run around. So like I started just staying in one spot, and I was like, all right, like let's see what happens. So I stayed in one spot, and like it was great. I mean, I definitely saw some things that I wouldn't have seen had I been running around with my head cut off, like trying to get like all the best angles.
Yeah, I was actually gonna mention the same thing when you mentioned that one of the things that you took away was to relax, because I was running around in the bike event one,
Mhm.
and I stay next to Kieran. I'm like, I tell him all the time, I'm like, dude, I love your stuff. Like, I'm
Yeah.
a huge fan, and I always try to learn from him. Like every time I have a minute to talk to him, I try to like, you know, absorb as much information as possible, and I ask him like, what's like one thing you can tell me right now, like that's helped you to take the best shots. And he said the same thing. He's like, don't run towards the shot, wait for a shot to come to you.
Yeah.
And that's when he takes the best shots. And I was actually, I mentioned that I wanted to buy a Leica camera, so yesterday I was doing a bunch of research and all this stuff. And one of the guys I shot with in Houston a couple of weeks ago, maybe like a month or two ago, he's like a Leica teacher or something like that. So I was watching some of his videos on YouTube, and he was doing like a conference, and he's talking about Leica and like his best shots. And he mentioned something very similar. He's like, people are always asking me like, oh, how you take these shots? Like, how do you find this? And he mentioned that one of his first teachers told him to sit on a street and just don't move and wait for the shot to come to him. And that's when he's gonna probably take the best shots. And that's what he did. And he said that from that moment on, that's his mentality every time he goes and shoots like street photography or anything that's, you know, some sort of movement that you don't actually have to be in one spot specifically. He just waits until the shot comes to him, and his best work comes from that. I'm like, awesome, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I definitely believe that. I mean, if you're busy chasing the shot, you're not going to get it.
Yeah. That's what he says. And that's something I guess I don't really do right now, but I need to work on it. I feel like I'm always running around.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's definitely hard. Like I have a hard time sitting still when there's so much going on, and you're like, but I want to be in this place, and I also want to be in
I
this
know.
place, and I also want to be in this place. It's very hard.
Yeah.
Especially when you see like the crowd moving. Like
Yeah,
you're like, okay,
so too.
yeah, in your head, you're like, okay, this is it. And then
Yeah.
you see everybody moving, you're like, shit, am I making a mistake?
Yeah.
And then everybody's moving around but really sticking to your guns. That's cool that he said that to you guys.
Yeah.
I love his work. It's very
insane.
different. That's what I've realized. I like stuff that it's so different than the rest, because I see it as more as something artistic or than like different. Like when somebody edits their photos like completely different somebody else,
Yeah.
it's kind of like that person putting their art on their photos
Yeah.
instead of just like, oh yeah, you applied a filter or something. Which in some cases it can be somebody that doesn't care. It's like, yeah, I'm just gonna put this filter. But I feel like right now there's a lot of people putting their own touch, and I see it as somebody like putting their own art into the image.
Yeah. I also have to credit my mom too, because she is a painter, and she's really great with colors. And so a lot of times I'll edit something, and if I'm like unsure of the colors or even the composition, sometimes like I'll send it to her. I'll just text her a picture and be like, "What do you think about these colors?" And she'll be like, "Oh, I don't know. Like maybe you should like change the hue of that blue or something." Or like she'll say like a crazy name. Like she'll be like, "Use like calico something." And I'm like, "Mom, I have to look up this color. I don't even know what this color is." Like, and so she'll help me with that. So she's definitely been helpful in like my editing process. And she does the same too. Like she'll send me one of her paintings and she'll be like, "What's going on? Like, why am I not like figuring this out?" And I'm like, "Oh, I think you should move this flower, or you should paint this flower a different color," or whatever. So yeah, we help each other out.
That's very cool.
Do you paint now, or did you paint growing up?
No, my I went through like, I think it was during COVID. I like painted some ostriches.
That's random.
It was really random, but people bought them. People really liked them.
Yeah,
The
Eric's-
ostriches?
Commissioned to paint ostriches.
That's
Eric
crazy.
Eric is a painter.
Oh, you
No,
really?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, he's wicked. He's really good.
Wait,
Not
are you?
painter.
Anything that's
No.
like creative, like he can graffiti, paint, draw stuff, design.
Awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah, so
I
I
wouldn't
actually
say
had
painter.
I actually had Eric as one of the early episodes, and he mentioned that he found photography because of his love for like designing and art and stuff, and that's how he like started taking some photos, and then from there it kind of like escalated to a point that right now that's like the main thing he does. But at the same time, you still do design and all that stuff for HLPO.
Yeah, it helps. It definitely helped. That's why I was curious, because like it made sense. That's why I was asking earlier, is like, what were some of your early inspirations? Because you can see, and it seems like the instinctual thing makes sense, because you probably grew up seeing it from your mom, and however it was, whatever. Maybe there is no rhyme or reason. Maybe I'm making a rhyme or reason, but it was interesting because like the way that you compose stuff, it is it looks like it's very instinctual. It looks like it comes from the heart, from the heart, because it looks so different. And it has, you can tell that you lead that way, and it's cool to see, because I'm like, man, that's what's interesting, looking at different people's photos. You can see the way that they compose things differently, and I was curious, because I was like, man, that's so cool, because I know the way that I approach something, and then it's just cool to hear how people approach things differently. And when you mentioned your mom, I was like, oh, that's cool. Like that's
Yeah.
especially that way. I'm like, I'm curious. And then I was gonna ask something earlier, but I realized I muted myself. From working with the fine art studio, is there things that you think that have like leaked into your photography now, whether if it's like on purpose or instinctual? Like, is there things that you picked up and like applied to your stuff now?
I mostly edit for like as my job. Like I'm mostly editing, but
Mm-hmm.
honestly, like we do a lot of work like on tripods.
Mm-hmm.
And like in CrossFit, like I mean, we're always running around. We don't really like set the camera on a tripod ever. Like at the games, but I don't know, like I think if anything, like some of the techniques I've learned um at my full-time job, like the editing techniques have rolled over to CrossFit editing. But like, I don't know, like it feels so different. I know it's
Yeah.
still like photography, but it feels so different than CrossFit photography. Like I really don't I really don't think that much has trickled over from my full-time job into into the way I shoot. I don't
maybe
know.
subconsciously some stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe even not even the way
Yeah.
you shoot, but the way that like you see things, or like the way you
Yeah.
compose things, like
Mhm.
the texture, like things like that. Maybe
Yeah.
not necessarily the way that you shoot.
Yeah.
And maybe not. I was just curious.
Yeah.
You didn't even
No,
probably not.
it's a good question. I just, I don't think that that too much has changed in that aspect. And I just I think if anything, yeah, maybe the edits, but I don't really compose anything like too differently with CrossFit now that I have this job.
Mhm.
I don't know, but maybe I do, and maybe I just don't. Maybe I just don't know. Maybe I just don't like recognize that I'm doing it.
Well, if
Um,
it's seamless, then that's a good thing too.
yeah, but I think like just being more patient, like in general, like trying to slow everything down. Even like before Kieran said, like let the shots come to you. Like maybe that came from my new job, but like I've been trying to be more patient.
Mhm.
Um, and also like Haynes, I don't know if you guys have met Haynes, but he always like says, he's like, just Meg, like slow down. Like, you don't need to like overshoot. You just, just
Just do
slow
your
down,
thing.
slow
Yeah.
down. And like I came off of, I was in Palm Beach shooting for my new job, and like straight from Palm Beach, I flew out to Tennessee for one of the semifinals, and I was exhausted. Like I was so tired. And I just remember like I didn't have the energy to run around, and like my shots were so much better. And Haynes was like, you should just be tired more often.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
um, yeah, so I don't know. I guess maybe being more patient came from the new job.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's awesome.
I
Yeah,
wanted to ask you, what you were gonna say something, Eric?
No.
Okay. I wanted to ask you something that, I mean, I've had people on the show like Ginny and Mariah that they talked about this. Ginny is very passionate about this topic, and it's good because she brings a lot of awareness to the industry. And it's been a woman in the shooting sports, right? That it's something that's been obviously growing a lot. We see a lot now. The CrossFit media team, I think there was more females shooting than male, which is awesome. And I was gonna ask you, have you like since you started, have you experienced any challenges and all this stuff? And it's super hard for me to talk about this because I can't talk for experience, right?
Mm,
So sometimes I feel like I hope I don't say anything wrong, but I'm just trying to bring more awareness to the topic to everybody that's listening, because I know Mariah is very passionate about it. She talked about it on her episode, as well as Jeannie.
right. Um, yeah, it's definitely it. I could say like a few years ago, it felt like a male dominated industry, where, like even at like the local competitions, like there were just more male photographers. I think that now, like you said, like this year, there were a lot of females on the media team. And there's definitely more females out there shooting now. For me, I don't see any challenges like being a female in a male dominated industry. I just kind of do my job, and I'm not intimidated by like the fact that there's a bunch of guys. Like we're all doing the same thing. I think that um, if somebody like didn't hire me for a gig or something because I was a female, then it's on them. Like it's kind of like if you like my work, then you'll hire me, and if not, then that's fine. Like, but I just keep my head down really and like do my job. Um, like I try not to let anything bother me. I don't I don't know, like, I guess specifically, like, I don't feel like I'm being singled out, especially in the CrossFit space. Like, I don't feel like, um, I don't know how to like say it, but I don't.
No,
I
I think I know where it's
Well, you
okay.
let your work speak for yourself as well, right?
Yeah, and I definitely want to like inspire other females to, you know, come out and shoot. It's definitely a male dominated industry, but that's not to say that females don't have the same talent.
Oh,
Like,
Right.
so I think that it's just that maybe not as many females um, have like, I don't know. I guess I'm not exactly sure like um, how many females are out there that want to be shooting the CrossFit Games, and if there are a lot, then I would definitely say like reach out and volunteer, and you'll get there. I think that there's definitely like a lot of room in this space for creatives, and yeah, I love shooting with females. I love having like all of those females alongside of me, Ginny and Charlotte, just everybody. Honestly, I don't want to like name people because I don't want to leave people out. But
Yeah, all of them.
yeah, ultimately, like I just I do my job, and yeah, I enjoy being in the space.
Yeah, that's awesome. And honestly, like all of you, even though sometimes like you don't realize it, all of you are inspiring people that are trying to get in the industry, right? Like somebody in the CrossFit space that I don't know, female are just getting started, and they're like, oh, I don't know if this will be a
Yeah,
good idea for me, a good industry. That might feel a little intimidated, right? But they see your work, they see Ginny, Sarah, Charlotte, everybody, they're shooting, they're doing really good, you're shooting for CrossFit, and you guys are really inspiring people. Like I get DMs all the time every time I do an episode with, I don't know, when I did the episode with Carly, with Mariah, with Ginny, I'm sure with you too, like somebody's gonna be like, oh my god, that's awesome, like I'm trying to get into space but I really didn't know. But having people like them in the podcast has really helped me realize, like, everybody belongs here and I can do it too. If they
yeah,
did it, I can be there too one day.
yeah,
And yeah, it
yeah,
was really cool that one of those chicks that messaged me, she was at the games this year for the first time, and she was telling me like, hey, thank you so much for like everything that you did on the pod. It really like helped me, like inspired me to be like, okay, I think I can do it too. And she, I mean, I'm not gonna name her because I don't know if she wants to be named, but she did really good, and she was shooting for pretty big name athletes too. And I mean, really good for her.
yeah. And that's the thing too. I mean, like everybody should feel like they can be out there. Like you can be out there if it's something that you want. Like then you just have to go after it, and just like keep working at it. I started with like shooting at my local gym, then shooting local competitions, and then shooting like some bigger competitions, and then the games. And I just worked at it for years, and like your work speaks for itself. But yeah, I definitely want to be able to inspire other females to come out and shoot because it's awesome. It's so much fun, and it's just like it's a great space too. Like you can create however you want to create.
Absolutely. Everybody that's listening, we only have about 6 minutes left. So if you have any questions for Meg, make sure you say it right now. We have a 1 hour cap.
We can go a few minutes past it. I don't need to
Gotcha.
like
Perfect.
Meg's got to go to work.
Yeah.
yeah, I have a job. But yeah, so um I think that one of the biggest fear I had was like moving to California and like just starting from not starting from scratch, but just like moving here, not knowing anybody, and just kind of like seeing what happens. And I think that like if I can inspire somebody to like take that leap and make that move, I would love to, because it honestly like it changed my life, obviously. I mean, now I'm in California and I love it. But the thing is like, I was so scared to move. I was like, I don't want to move. Like, I don't want to leave my family. I'm nervous. I'm not going to be able to like make it out there. Like, what if I don't make enough money? Like, what if I can't stay? And it's like, it's all part of your journey. So like, I rented an Airbnb because they have like monthly stays or something. So like, you can like rent an Airbnb for 30 days. And in my head, I was like, okay, I'm going to rent this Airbnb and maybe I'll only be out there for a few months, but at least like you don't feel committed to like a year lease. So I remember having a conversation with one of my friends, and his name is Shane Garrity, and he was like, if you don't, you won't. And it was like so simple, but like those words stuck with me because I never wanted to like not do that thing. Like, I never wanted to like miss out on something. Like, if I didn't move across the country, if I didn't apply for the job, if I didn't take the trip, if if I didn't do all those things, then where would I be?
Yeah.
And so I feel like you just always have to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, like, you take an hour a day to work out and do fitness and everything. And while that's really important, I think it's also really important to like, even if it's like 20 minutes a day, to work on putting yourself out there, work on, like maybe you apply for a job or maybe you reach out to a mentor or whatever it may be. Like, how long did it take me to apply for this job? Well, that's like the crazy thing is like, it took me like a half an hour to apply for this job. And now like my life has changed because of it. So
Sure.
I travel because of it, and editing because of it, and I'm just doing like so much like that I didn't think that I would ever do, but you have to like step out of that like comfort zone, I think. And that was one of the scariest things. But I think that like, if anyone's ever like questioning like moving, I would definitely say do it because it inspired me more with photography. Like, I have so much that I want to shoot around California, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I love the kind of stories because it's always the what if, right? Like, we're all at that point that what if I move, like,
Yeah.
and try something different. And then I mean, if you think about it, worst case scenario, if you didn't like California, you would have just moved back home, right? Like, that's probably like the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
But at least you gave it a shot
Yeah.
and tried it. I think Eric, his camera probably died. It's fine. We can keep
Yeah.
it going.
Um,
His camera lasts only 1 hour. You see, it's right there at 58 minutes. So if somebody that's trying to, somebody looks up to you and they're very like, oh, I wanna, at one point in my life, I wanna have a similar life than Megan. Let's talk just about CrossFit. I wanna, shoot stuff. The CrossFit Games semifinals. What are some of your best advice that you will give that person?
I definitely say just keep working at it. I know it sounds like redundant because I've said it a few times, but like I brought my camera to the gym like every day. I always brought my camera to the gym. I was always shooting local competitions. I just shot like team practice at Ocean State CrossFit because that's where I lived. I lived in Rhode Island. So I was just shooting all the time. And at the same time, like I was switching up my lenses. I was switching up like how I shot. I was switching up cameras. And like, I know that's like it got expensive here and there, like, cause I would buy like I went through like a fisheye phase. Like I literally shot like everything with a fisheye lens. And I thought those photos were like the best photos ever. So I had that like fisheye phase, and then like I went through, like another phase of this and that and the other thing. Like I just like went through so many phases, and like as you go on, like you you find like what actually works. And then like when you find that, then you start developing like a brand, and you start shooting those local events and shooting, I guess, like the bigger competitions like Wadapalooza or whatever. And then you just kind of go from there, because you meet people along the way, and those people have words of advice for you, or they'll, hook you up with someone who's going to hook you up with someone else. So
True.
I would definitely say like to just keep shooting. And the more you shoot, the more people you meet too. Like every time I shot a competition, I met a handful of new people. And it's just a great way to network. Every event you shoot, you meet new people, right? I feel like, like you said, I'm like you and I like spoke briefly, but we still like met, and then we have that connection. And then, then we follow each other's like progress along the way, like through Instagram, because Instagram is like a great tool for keeping up with like our fellow creatives. Sorry, I didn't see what Jenny said.
Oh, she
no,
said
you didn't need to. I just put
next
it up
year I
there.
think you need to the 800.
Oh my God, yes.
From the fisheye to the 800. But yeah, that's so true. And I see it with people that are just getting started. And obviously I went through the same phase that you're just trying a bunch of things at first, until you find something that it tells you this is who you are in photography or in videography, right? This is the person you are. This is where you feel more comfortable, creative, artistic, however you want to call it. And then from there is when you really start developing like who you want to portray yourself to the world. And I remember the point that I was like, I think, or not, I think I was like, this is exactly how I want to show my work. This like the colors I want, this like the style that I want. And from that point on, I feel like everything just evolved so much faster and like better, because it's like I almost like found myself, like my style. And then from there I'm just like, okay, now it's go time, right? And I'm sure you guys went through the same. Like if I see my work from 4 years ago, it's just all over the place, right? Like you don't know what's going on. It's like I went through black and white, white clothes, shallow shots, not all of above. But if you see my work from the last 2 years or year and a half, it's very consistent, right? And that's a point that I like, that I realized, okay, this is who I want to be. Obviously everybody's going to keep evolving, right? Like we're all going to change styles a little bit, but it's always going to be that type of, creative. Or at least that's what I think. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, no, and both you and Eric, you guys both have like really distinct styles, and like I love both of you. You guys are like just so artsy. I love your work. But yeah,
Eric,
it's true. Like,
Eric is the artistic one out of this relationship.
No, you're not.
You guys are both like very artistic.
Well, that means a lot. Thank you. That's when I see Eric's work, I'm like, this dude's incredible.
Yeah,
so,
thanks, man.
So artistic.
No, both of you guys. It's just fun because like you never know like what you're gonna pick up through those phases, and you do pick up like a little bit from each thing, right? Like it's cool because like especially like the fisheye thing, it's fun because like whatever focal, like whatever you try, because you see something. I mean, even like looking at your stuff now, Megan, like being introduced to you, like the whole underwater thing is just like a whole new world that is just exciting. You're like, man, I want to try it, and it could very much be a phase, but you never know. We could pick something up that we're like, okay, no, never mind. I really like this. Like.
Oh yeah, you'll do that if you try underwater photography. That's not going to be a phase. Like that's something. That's something like you stick with. Like,
yeah. Quick story before we cut it. Talking about underwater.
Oh yeah,
because we don't have much time left. So Megan, you probably don't remember this, but my first introduction to you, which is it's a cool story because it just tells you how nice of a person Megan is. I knew who you were because I've seen your photos. I've seen like you were always the underwater photographer, like she takes really cool stuff. I was in a competition in South Florida, and one of the photographers, Elaine, she was gonna do some underwater stuff, but she obviously first time ever, they rented a water house and just to shoot for her. And all of us are in a room, and Jay Knickerbocker, he says, let's call Megan and ask her questions. She's the only one that can help us out. And in my mind, I'm like, I mean, it's late. It's like 10 p.m. She's probably not gonna answer, and if she answers, it's gonna be like, And then Jay called her, and Megan said, "Hey, how's it going? Yeah, good. We have some questions for you." I think they went through like an hour conversation. Meg was just like super like, I don't know, I felt like you were like excited to like share everything you knew about underwater. And I'm sitting on the couch thinking, I'm like, that's cool. Like, somebody that they were just talking about like, oh, they look up to her. And then you were so like, so I mean, you can say so nice or so like enthusiastic to share
Open,
what
right?
yeah, so open. Yeah, that's probably a better word. So open to share all the stuff that you knew, and without anything in return. It was kind of like just being a good person, and that kind of stuck with me. And then every time I met you after that, I'm like, oh yeah, I know who she is. And
Aw.
yeah.
Well, I'm glad I had that impact. I definitely like I remember when they called me too, and it was just funny because they're like, "Oh, we're doing this tomorrow," and
It was like literally like the day
people,
after in the morning. They had no idea.
yeah, they seemed nervous. I was like, honestly, like I just wanted to give them like the tips that I didn't even think of when I was shooting underwater, like for the CrossFit Games in 2020 when we had like the COVID games, like you don't think about like, oh, you should be drinking a lot of water because you're gonna cramp up if you don't. And like, I don't know why, but I cramp up way more underwater. Like, and like, bring fins and like do like all these like small things that like you don't think about that like that helps when you're shooting underwater. But yeah, I remember that. But yeah, I always want to like help people out, especially if they're like in like a panic. They're calling me in a panic. I don't know what to do. Like I have this shoot like that like we're like minutes away from or whatever it was. But yeah, no, of course I'm always excited to help people out, especially if they reach out to me directly. Like I want to help them.
That's awesome. And those are the little things that just like stuck with people. I'm sure Elaine and all of them remember that moment too. Eric, 1 hour and 7 minutes. You have anything else you want to ask Meg before we cut it?
No. We'll let you get to your full-time job. This was so fun. It was awesome to
Yeah.
get to know you a little bit and learn a little bit about your background. It's cool. These podcasts are really enlightening because you get to really learn more about people. But no, it was awesome to talk to you.
Yeah,
And
thank you
and
guys.
we'll love to have you back, eventually. We've had Ginny like 3 times already, so
Ginny rocks.
we can have yeah.
That's great. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you. Megan, anything else you want to add to everybody listening?
You're the Jordan episode. You got to leave someone
Jordan
with a banger.
episode, yeah.
Just kidding. You don't have to leave anybody with the banger.
No, I mean, like, I enjoy working with everybody in the CrossFit space. You guys are all really awesome. And I learned from all of you guys. Like, you guys always like say how you love my work and how my work looks different than everybody else's, but like we're all thinking that the same about you guys. I think like we're all pretty hard on ourselves, but that's why we're good creators.
Yeah, true.
So
well, everybody listening, you know the drill. Like the YouTube, share, whatever you want to do. Click the bell. I don't know. Eric's probably better than me at this.
I don't like doing that
No,
stuff
but
either.
honestly, if you can subscribe and like the video, it helps a lot. It's been gaining some momentum, so it's always appreciated. I forgot to add Megan's Instagram name to the thing, but I'm gonna add it real quick. It's at Ellery Photos. All right. So if you want to follow Megan, you can find her on Instagram at Ellery Photos. Is that right, Megan, on the screen?
yes, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You
if you want to follow, well, yeah, it's not if you want to, you need to follow Megan. If you want to follow Eric at Eric_Castaños. And if you want to follow me at Bound Media, BOWN Media. Megan, before we cut it, what's next for Meg Ellery?
Ooh, right now I'm pretty busy because I'm moving. So
again?
Well, I'm still in the same Airbnb I was in when I moved here.
Got it. She's getting a place.
So now I'm getting an apartment on the west side, so closer to the beach for me.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's what's next. But hopefully I get to see you guys soon. I don't know what's next for you guys, but
yeah. Are you going to Rogue?
I don't think I am. No.
Okay.
Are you guys going to Rogue?
I'm
Yeah,
not sure
I'm
yet,
going.
but I think so.
Wow.
Yes, he is.
I don't know. Well, yeah, thank you so much, Megan. I really appreciate your time. 1 hour and 10 minutes. We probably got in trouble.
Oh
No.
yeah,
But
yeah. If we get in trouble at work, sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely.
thank you. All right. See you, everybody. Thanks
All right.
so
Bye.
much.